Love, light, peace, and abundance, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Poetry Unraveled. Excuse me, I was working with something in my eye when it started recording. Um, we are doing something a little different today. I am set up outside in nature. I was called to come near the water to record today's episode. So if you see me scrunching my face up, it's because the sun is like so vibrant and um yeah, so that's what that might be why my face is scrunched up. So bear with me. And I normally clear the space off of camera. I did open up the channel. I did ground myself. However, I want to do some clearing of the energy together today. And I feel like the stream of today's transmission is going to be potent. I feel like all of the transmissions are potent. It just really depends on where your frequency is and if you're receiving the transmission in its fullness or if you're receiving portions of it. However, nevertheless, I feel like the transmission today is going to be potent. So, with that being shared, I feel like it is highly probable that we're going to have some confirmations from nature. So the wind might be blowing, might hear some birds or something. And children are around. And I feel like the laughter of children is potentially a confirmation or source speaking to us. However, if you hear cars and you hear airplanes and helicopters and all of those other things, people talking loud or whatnot, that just comes with the territory being out in nature. So I'm willing that my microphone muffles as much as possible and you're not distracted by any of the behind the scenes sounds. Okay. So with that being shared, I'm going to go ahead. I brought my I brought my chimes, um, and they have dragons on them. So anybody that's in tune with dragons, that may speak to you. And these are made of brass. And I'm just gonna join them together 3 times to clear the space. It is kind of close to the mic, so you might want to turn the volume down just a little bit, just in case it looks too loud for your ears. However, I would encourage you to close your eyes and open yourself to the frequency from the chimes. Okay, so let's begin. Yes, thank you, Source. All right. So as I stated earlier, the channel is open. So I'm gonna just wait for it to ground in. Today is a Thursday, April 24th. I cannot believe that we are almost completed with April. Like, I feel like 2025 showed up and said, I got things to do and I'm here to do them. So let me hit this ground running because we are almost about to hit May, which is the 5th month, right? And because time is not linear, right? Time is a construct. So it's really the energy that's being experienced, right? We feel an acceleration in the energy for those that feel like I feel, right? We are experiencing an acceleration in the energy. And that has a lot to do with different energetic portals that have been opened. A lot with the planetary alignment. There have been different vortexes and, again, energetic portals from the planetary alignments that have been opened that allow for us to really receive in a more direct manner the energy that has always been present, the energy that has always been accessible to us. And those of us that have been closing out cycles, right? Closing chapters and putting a period to lessons that were being learned. Some of us have completed some karmic ties. Some have put a period to, um, how do I say, energy that has been with us throughout lifetimes, right? We have cleared that energy because we have mastered whatever the principles or the lessons were associated with them. Some of us, it was associated or connected to people, right? We release people from our aura fields. Some of us even release people from our physical lives, right? However, you didn't have to still be physically entangled with the person to be energetically entangled with, with the person, right? So you may have found where different people have come up in your dreams over these last almost 5 months. People may have come up in your dreams. You may have just like randomly thought of them. You may have seen somebody that looked like them, or, just something. You may have been brought back to a time in your life where you had different experiences that challenged you, right? All of this was presenting itself as an opportunity for us to clear out the residue. That's not to say that we haven't already been doing the work, that we haven't been um, being diligent in healing, right? As all things that I speak about, healing is circular. How do you say the word circular? Cyclical. That's where cyclical. It's cyclical, right? And sometimes it feels like because a principle of something that we have been dedicated and diligent in healing, it can come up again. And it can feel like we are not healing or it's not healed, right? But in actuality, it's not a determinant factor of whether or not we've been doing the work. It's actually an indicator that we have, because it is presenting itself to us from a higher perspective for us to clear out, release, make amends, make peace, or acknowledge a higher level, a higher degree of what is associated with that energetically, right? So and we spoke on this. I believe we had a transmission concerning this idea of not judging ourselves or beating ourselves up or being hard on ourselves because we feel like, why am I not over this, right? Like, why haven't I let this go yet? And it's not a matter of you still holding on to it. It's a matter of you've elevated, you have risen in the cyclical, um, divine unfolding of your remembering, and now you're at this new level. So now you have to clear it out from this higher perspective. And you may be able to relate to this. Hopefully, if you're tuned into this, you can relate to it. And you may feel like you still have more to clear out. And that's possible. But it's also possible that your mind, right, the mental, is still holding on to old paradigms, old stories, right? I remember when I was earlier in my spiritual development, and I came across the principle of our subconscious plays like a record player, right? If anybody is familiar with a record player, the record either stopped when the whole record was complete, and you have one of those old school ones. I mean, excuse me, more high tech ones where the arm lifted up and automatically went back into place. However, if you didn't, then the record would continue to play, like it wouldn't stop until you went and manually lifted the arm up and put it over in its place. So that same principle takes place in our subconscious mind, right? The song, the record continues to play because that is what we are used to. That's what we're accustomed to. However, when we come in with a new frequency, with a new idea, a new understanding, a new revelation, if you will, then the song begins to change. However, as the old song is going out and a new song is coming in, sometimes you can still hear the old song. And sometimes you may feel inclined to respond to the old song. So it takes a conscious awareness to recognize that that is the old song, right? Like, it's like when you realize that the way that you would have previously responded to a situation, like maybe you would have like kirked out, this time you didn't kirk out, right? That's you recognizing that the old song was about to play, and then you caught yourself and was like, nah, I'm not, it's not even worth it, or I'm not even gonna go out like that, or however you speak to yourself. That's a physical example to show what I'm expressing in from the unseen realms, right? So when when we're having these experiences that it feels like the same thing is happening, it's important for us to give ourselves grace, right? And compassion, but mainly grace, to understand that it's a process of the old being faded out, right? Sometimes certain ideas, you can change like that. And I know that there are some that position themselves as teachers or guides or advisors that say that, in fact, you can change your thinking like that. And there are circumstances and expressions, and there's so many factors that it is wise to consider, right? At least from the understanding that I've received from the downloads and transmissions and what I've lived, to make such a statement, because not everyone has the same tools, right? And not everyone has the same awareness. So sometimes what is easy for you to turn off like that, or change like that, or release like that, or elevate like that, may not be as easy or smooth selling to someone else. It may take them a little bit more time. And excuse me, and that's perfectly fine, because we're all different expressions, right? So what one person may excel in, another person may need a little bit more attention given to it, specifically because we all have different contracts, right? We have different ideas and principles that we have been experiencing throughout lifetimes that have accumulated. And in this lifetime, it's like we're cashing it all in, and we're deciding that we're going to clear it out and release it, right? So what I've come with, the baggage, or the weight, or the karmic energy, right? That Oh, thank you, Spirit. So the idea just came in my mind of being deficit in a certain energy, right? So because everything is energy, and energy flows, it's like a current, right? It flows. Sometimes we are deficient in certain energies, which stops it or affects it or impedes the natural flow of that energy, because we're short on it. And we're short on it because of the different things that we've experienced throughout our magnitude or multitude of lifetimes, right? So for example, I know one of the things that I over lifetimes have been clearing out is uh, speaking freely. How do I want to say it? So in prior lifetimes, I was a truth bearer. I was a light bringer. And I was in different lifetimes and dimensions and timelines where the light bearers and the truth bringers were persecuted, right? So you had to be very wise in how you showed up in those timelines, because, you know, people were being killed. So in me developing a form of protection throughout those lifetimes, it accumulated, and I lived it out in this lifetime, to where I had to reclaim my voice, right? To show up, to speak, to share without any fear or residue of repercussions, because I'm shining the light, because I'm sharing the truth, because I am expressing the divine transmissions that that source has for us as a collective, right? Um, I don't know why, but I'm gonna share it. So the scripture, "My people will know my voice," comes to mind. I'm not sure if that's a literal scripture or if it's something that people remixed to share. However, the idea is that, truth has a resonance, and when you hear truth, you may not know the person, you may not know the origin of where the person got that idea from, or what their story is. However, what they say resonates with something in your being, and that's because it's true, right? And there's some part of you in some dimension, some timeline, some lifetime that knows that it is the truth. It bypasses your mental, right? I realized recently that, the mind, and I know we spoke about this before, how the mind, it is a very interesting mechanism, right? Because the mind will really have you tied up with some things that your body has already confirmed, right? You could have already felt the chills, right? Your body could have already had the goosebumps, right? You could have felt the tingling on the crown of your chakra. I mean, your crown of your chakra, the crown of your head, your crown chakra, right? Y'all know what I mean. Y'all know what I'm saying, right? So you could have felt that energy, right? You could have released tears, right? Or a very joyful laughter could have came up, right? All of these are signs and indicators that your spirit, the essence of you, resonates and vibrates and registers the truth of what has been expressed. But your mind wants to interject and say something about the person's physical, something about how do they know that, where did that come from, or it wants to present to you a old thought pattern to contradict what has been shared, the truth that's been expressed. However, your mind doesn't understand that whatever it comes up with, it is limited to this lifetime, this realm, right? However, the truth of what has been expressed transcends this lifetime, right? And it also usually, when you can really take it in, right? Take it in and digest it. And it's always beautiful when you have other open-minded individuals that you can like dialogue and discuss and bounce ideas off of, because when you have that kind of experience, then you're able to widen the energetic field, right? You give the current that you felt, right? That you tapped into from the truth that was expressed, like you give it room to flow and to run rampant. If you only keep it within the confines of your mind, knowing that the mind is going to gravitate towards something that's physical, something that's tangible, something that makes sense. And that's what it's supposed to do. Don't get me wrong. It's not like our mind is an enemy and it's against us. It's doing what it's supposed to do. However, we get to a point in our development where we develop to bypass the mental, right? Like we recognize that this is not your field, right? This is not your the saying of is above your pay grade, right? This is not at your pay grade level, right? This is above yours. So because it's above yours, then it is important to recognize that and then put your mind at ease, right? And let your mind know that when it's needed, you're gonna come back to it, right? Like because you at some point you're gonna get to a point once you ride the current, right? You have other people that you could bounce ideas off of, and you can really explore it, right? And really see it from a more expansive standpoint. Then you can begin to see how the truth that was that was resonating with you, you can then use your mind to call on tangible things that you've experienced in your life, right? And prove what was shared to be the truth, right? I was taught this principle that you never chase a lie, right? Because the truth stands on its own. You don't have to prove a thing wrong. You don't have to prove that the person is lying. I'll use that as an example since it came out. I don't know where that came from, right? But you don't, you don't have to prove that the person is lying, right? What you do instead is prove what the person is saying to be the truth, right? And then you prove in the person what is being said to be the truth. If it is a lie, it'll show itself, right? So you prove a thing to be right. And if anything other than right, truth, righteousness, the divine source, right, is in it, it will expose itself because there's a rhythm to truth, right? It's a vibration to truth, right? Again, like we were speaking, you hear truth being shared, you feel it in your body, right? Your body responds. I've been receiving some transmissions lately, and willfully I'll be able to share them collectively. However, right now they have been shared for me to digest them, right? And in them being shared, at first, what I'm speaking to you all about, I'm living it too. Right? Like I'm living it too. So my mind was like, but how? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how is that even the case? And I found that the reason why that question was even coming up is because it was bumping up against a old thought pattern, right? It was bumping up against something that the old paradigm gave me, right? That I was taught in the old earth, right? And I held it with a sense of value, right? So this new idea came in and it was bumping up against this old idea, and I was experiencing it energetically. I was experiencing the resonation of the truth that was shared, right? Like tears was coming, my crown chakra was tingling, and I just felt the joy, excitement, and peace that comes with truth, right? And then after that initial experience, that's when my mind kicked in, and it was like, but the how can that be the case? Right? Because it sounds so different from what has been taught previously. And once I recognized that that's what was happening, I said, you know what, I'm going to let that go. And I'm going to continue to explore this to bear witness to the truth of what's being shared. And once I made that conscious decision to do that, then all these memories started coming up, right? This idea was shared and this principle was taught. And this is what I understood from this and that. And I was just able to bring all of these threads from my lived experience and just the truth of what I know exists, right? Because I'm in tune, I'm connected. I am source is I. Like we are one. There's episodes that I shared prior, and I might have even shared it on this podcast. I might have shared it on my YouTube channel. However, the idea is that we are source embodied, right? Like we're not separate source. We've been given this whole, you know, I don't even know what you want to call it. This whole doctrine, this whole, I don't know, this whole reality, this whole, I'll say lie. I'll jump out there and say lie. Okay. Since the lie example came up earlier, that source is outside of us, right? And that we have to be worthy, or we have to qualify, or we're not able to speak directly to source or interact directly with source without an intercessor, right? And no offense to anybody who this is the way that they think. No offense. Like I've always said, no matter where you are and what walk of life you are on, these transmissions are for everyone, right? However, I'm also duty bound to share truth and then allow everyone to do what resonates with them to do with it. Because we have been given this way of thinking that sources outside of us, then it limits our ability to tap into our power to really be who we came here to be, to really remember. Because that's another key idea that I speak about, us remembering who we are and what we came here to do, right? And in order for us to remember, we have to release the things that have been given to us to keep us behind the veil, right? Keep us from knowing and understanding that what we see isn't all that is, right? And the one who is the all that is actually within you and within me, because we are fractions, we are ideas, we are completed ideas, completed thoughts, however you want to process it, however you can visualize it so that you can ground it for yourself, right? That's who we are. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we'll be able to really live and enjoy the life that we came here to live, right? And I'm sitting here out in nature, right? And I could turn the camera around and show you all the view. it is such a beautiful day out here, right? The sun is shining, the water is flowing and moving with grace and ease. There's a reflection of the sun on the water. It's just like the perfect breeze. It's not too hot, it's not too chilly. It's just a perfect day. It's people over there fishing. It's people walking with their spouses, their friends, by themselves, with their pets. There's people out here just thinking and chilling. When I first pulled up, it was somebody listening to music. It's just, this is what life has to offer us, right? Ease, joy, peace, balance, oneness, love, serenity, beauty. This is what life has to offer us. And it's available to us. All we have to do is be open and receptive and willing to receive it. And the sooner we're able to open the channel of our remembering of who we are, being source embodied, being directly connected to the all that is, and live the purpose or reason that we came here in this lifetime, dissolving doubt, dissolving fear, dissolving confusion, dissolving the illusion, dissolving the lies, right? Releasing all of that, the sooner we will get to experience all of what creation has for us, all of what nature makes available to us every single day. That completes the transmission for today. And if you have been here before, you know I close out every episode with a poetic expression. And I actually have been in the lab writing, right? I've been writing, and I'm really excited because I'm going to share a new piece with you all today. And this is a little introduction to the piece, and then I'll go right into the piece. It looks like we might go a little bit over out of respect for the time. I always mention that. However, thank you. Thank you for being present. Thank you for sharing space. Thank you for tuning in to receive the transmission. May whatever current or vibration resonates within you, you receive it and magnify it and multiply it in your everyday life so that you may be that much closer to your remembering. Okay. So there are love stories, right? Written in ink, and there are those etched in soul light. This poem is the latter. Beloved, came through not as a desire, but as a remembrance, a whisper from the inner temple of my being, calling forth the one who recognizes me beyond form, beyond time. It is a devotion, a frequency, a soul prayer for the one who will walk with me in truth, power, and presence. May you feel the vibration of your own longing, your own readiness, your own sacred mirror as I offer this piece. Beloved, I feel you, even in the silence, even in the spaces between form and word. I feel the pulse of your soul echoing mine. You have walked with me in temples of light and shadow. You have held me in sacred groves and cosmic halls. And even when the veil was thick and memory faint, my heart kept whispering, He is coming. I do not need you to save me. I am already whole. But I welcome you to walk beside me, to dance with me, to remember with me. I have died many small deaths to stand here in this truth. I have shed skins of performance, of pain, of patterns that no longer serve. And now I rise, not waiting, but welcoming. The man who sees me as I have always been. I am the flame that will not dim, the sanctuary you didn't know you were searching for, the mirror of your divine becoming. So when you come in truth, come in integrity, come with hands that build, with presence that heals, with love that nourishes. I will not chase, but I will recognize. And when your soul stands before mine, awake and ready, I will remember you too. Until then, I will continue weaving light, watering the sacred garden of my being, and trusting the rhythm of divine alignment. We are not late. We are right on time. Amun. Thank you so much. Until the next time. Love, light, and peace, y'all.